Hello, wine community. Welcome back. I'm Aaron here with Hayden, and we're going in to do another white wine blind tasting. But so happy to have you here back at the Wine Cooperative, and let's get into another little session here. So, Hayden, you ready to take it away?
Cheers to that, brother. Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
All right. So this wine is a white wine, clear with a medium gold concentration. Secondary colors, maybe just a little bit of silver. Moving out to a slight water band, nothing major. And viscosity, I'm actually going to call medium plus to high on this wine. No evidence of gas or sediment on the nose. The wine is clean. Moderate plus intensity. I think that this wine is developing. Fruit right away. I'm getting a lot of orchard fruit. Kind of like and it's all very bruised. So like bruised yellow apple, bruised yellow pear, maybe a little bit of like a bruised green apple skin. Maybe like a little bit of honeydew melon, orange melon. And then definitely moving into like there's like a struck match quality to the wine. So maybe a little sulfur dioxide. Definitely there's like a huge like honeysuckle component to the wine. It's very honeyed, almost like candied ginger, which leads almost into like a saffron, maybe a little bit of like a jasmine as well. There is a good green quality to the wine. It's not like pyrazine, but it's like a yeah, it's like right in that range of like saffron, a little bit of Garrick to it almost. Definitely a little bit of like fresh white mushroom. There's kind of like a woolliness to the wine. Minerality isn't coming through a ton on the nose, but maybe just a little bit. There is, I think, a little bit of spice to the wine, like clove, coriander, so potential wood. But the wine is so, like, I think there's a little bit of botrytis with this wine, potentially, or it's just really old. But because there's that honeysuckle, that ginger, that could also just be some botrytis that's leading me to think that maybe there's some wood on the wine. So, all right, I'm out. Wow, a lot of stuff going on. So really complex wine. First of all, this wine is off dry. Just a couple things I got in the palate before I forget. Definitely got some of like that good white pepper in there. Definitely got some more of like almost like that waxiness. Definitely a hot wine, high alcohol content for sure. Okay, so acid, I'm gonna say is medium. Alcohol is high. It's definitely full bodied, creamy texture. The wine is in balance. There's a lot of big things going on in this wine, but it all ends up meeting back together to balance out. Length and finish, I'm going to say is long. Complexity, I'm going to say is high. Fruit characters confirming those that apple, that pear. Again, it's all very yellow and like yellow delicious apple that's like definitely very bruised. Um, Yellow pear. Again, maybe a little bit of that melon. The fruit character again is all very, it's all bruised, desiccated. non-fruit flavors. Um, the wine's really, really floral on the palate, almost so much that I'm getting like a distinct like bitterness, a little bit of phenolic bitterness, but almost like it's very perfumed. So it's almost like I'm eating a purple flower, a yellow flower to end the wine. Again, a little bit of that white pepper. Definitely some of that woolliness, kind of like that lanolin thing going on. There's a little bit of wax to the wine for sure. Um, Earthiness. I definitely think there's some mushrooms, some fresh turned potting soil, a little bit of whetstone. Um, Going back to the wood, I think if there is wood on the wine, that the um, that the wood is neutral or very little new oak. Um, okay, so possible grape varieties. So I can think of 1,000, but right away I think Chenin Blanc, because one thing I didn't call was the acid, or I did call the acid. It's just medium. It's not high, so I'm kind of ruling out Riesling. Um, so then grapes, I think this could be. I think it could be um, Chenin Blanc. I think it could be potentially like a Pinot Gris from Alsace. Uh, but again, I just think that you'd get a little bit more acidity because of the northern climate. Um, it could be Gewurz for sure. Definitely like those good aromatics going on. And I think one other one I want to throw in just because of like that super plurality on the palate is actually going to be Tarantes. I don't think you would typically get a lot of the residual sugar, but just like that bitterness, that potpourri, that flour, it could be a possibility. So I do think that this wine is from the old world, or it's a very good new world producer. But oh man, I'm really torn between Gewurz and Chenin. But I just think the alcohol is so high on this. Okay, so I'm gonna call this Chenin Blanc from possible countries: France, um, Germany. Um, and we'll do. Well, I guess I would do um, South America on this too, but maybe like Mal or not Malbec, um, Chile, or excuse me, Argentina. Oh my goodness. Um, and then climate, I do think this is from a little bit warmer climate just because of the high alcohol content, the richness of that of the wine, but that could be a little bit of botrytis too. Um, so final conclusion, I think this is Chenin Blanc from France, from the Loire Valley. I'm going to call this. I want to call Sauvignon because it's so waxy, but I'm just going to call Vouvray, and I'm going to call this uh, Sec Vouvray. And I'm going to call. I think this does have a little bit of age on this. I'm going to call this like 2015.
All right, nice work, Hayden.
Yeah, kind of. How much I got stumbled up on, I couldn't think of. Well, I already had gotten to my grapes basically, and then I was like, oh, I got to name countries. I just totally skipped over that, so I sounded like
It's okay. Everyone, we're just having some fun with it. So, great work on your calls. I think a little longer than normal, but I think just it's been a long week for you. I know. So just kind of going into it, but some things that I really liked that I think you picked up on is I liked the bruised fruit characteristic, the kind of some of those maybe spicier notes and kind of botrytis characteristic. I don't know what the wine is, but those are things that I picked up off of the wine as well. And I like your structure call, the higher alcohol, definitely kind of an off dry characteristic, medium acid. I think that all really adds up. I like the yellow kind of bruised fruit characteristic with this. I like your varietal calls, the Chenin and the Gewürztraminer especially are the two that I was really zeroing in myself. I'm leaning more towards Sauvignon myself, or maybe Gewürztraminer was in both those camps. The medium acid, like you got, versus the high acid is gearing me more towards Gewürztraminer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sauvignon makes more sense.
Yeah, but so let's see what we have here because I do not know. I mean, I have a general idea because I've selected these in the past, but um,
Yeah, as soon
we
as you
have
said,
a Alsatian Gewürztraminer 2018, Amelia Bayer. So nice work. I think everything adds up with this. The things that I really liked and kind of what I was picking up, and obviously it's always easier in hindsight, but two of the things that I think, and this is just kind of a little more theory characteristics, that kind of bruised fruit, what I was thinking is kind of an oxidative quality. And you said no new oak on this, but you said potentially some neutral oak or something like that. So that's possible. I don't know the particular winemaking with this wine, but I think that that's definitely, something that they do often in Alsatian production is using some of those old, larger, kind of fermenting tanks and things of that nature to give it a little bit of that oxidative characteristic. And then I love the botrytis calls to this, not overly botrytis-y, but it did definitely have some of that ginger, honeysuckle, saffron, which might lead you into more of those botrytis kind of characteristics. And the reason that I was kind of thinking Gewürztraminer versus that Chenin Blanc was really
gotta be,
the acid.
gotta be
So
acid.
I think your
I,
call was spot on, but if it was Shannon, then it would probably be high acid versus medium, and then just a little higher alcohol. But the Shannon could have the high alcohol as well. So,
what's the
um,
alcohol?
uh, let's see here. This is 14%.
Yeah, and
So not crazy, but for those varietals, especially for an old world production wine,
yeah,
with warmer climates now too, even in the old world, a little more prevalent, but just varietal specific, definitely Chenin, Gewürztraminer, you're going to get, a little higher alcohol with those two varietals. So really nice work, I think. Yeah, you maybe went in a little longer on kind of some of your final conclusions here. But otherwise, I think it was really, really well done. So,
yeah, I'm okay with that. And I think too is, sometimes when I leave a blind tasting and I call Cabernet Pinot Noir, just kidding. But when I really am stumped and I just have to call something, it's like, oh man, I get so frustrated when I don't get it right because I feel like I'm so out of the realm. But with this especially, is kind of like the second I made the call, I immediately thought like the acid profile is not right for Shenton, right? So I can identify because all of those other characteristics is like you're going down this road and then I get to two grapes and then it's like split off to one, right? And I just missed that one call, but that's the call I should have hit. And I think what ended up kind of tilting the scale for me is I ended up thinking like in my head, like, okay, alcohol, this is too high alcohol for like a Gewürz, but what I really should have been paying attention to is the acid for sure.
but I think too, something that I'm definitely guilty of myself too is making a call, kind of going with your gut versus listening to everything that you're telling in kind of your deduction of the wine itself. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes you go through all this, you're listing everything that you're seeing and you're kind of going through it, but are you taking it to heart and mentally putting that characteristics into your final conclusion? And I know often I'll have kind of structurally the correct components and maybe some of the markers and all of this, and then I just call something that doesn't seem to add up. And
right.
so I think just kind of listening to yourself and also it just bakes down to your theory in general. But I think everything, there wasn't none of these were bad calls, and I think you were in the right direction, and that's
Yeah.
why we do it. Learning exercise. So
What year was that?
fantastic work.
What year was that?
2018.
Wow.
Elliot Buyer.
Don't you feel like it's just feels like a little bit more developed?
Definitely. Yeah, I think this. I'd love to read up on the winemaking with this. Um,
Yeah, we'll have to check into it.
yeah, it doesn't say anything here about the specifics, but yeah, I think that there might be some winemaking techniques that give this a little more of that character, and even just the color alone. I mean, this has a really nice, rich, dark gold color to it. I mean, not overly dark, but it definitely has a very it's pretty spot on gold.
And
Uh,
if I would have gotten a little bit more, even just within that, even that color play, if I would have gotten a little bit more of like a green fruit, I would have said, okay, this is a newer wine, but I just didn't. It was just, yeah. But overall, I think really cool wine, and I think really complex too. I think just, I mean, all the range, I feel like it went so many different directions. So overall, just really cool wine.
Definitely. Any recommendations for what do you think you would like to enjoy to eat with this wine? What would be a good pairing for this?
Man, you know what? So I'm thinking um with just like that medium acid profile, but the weight to the wine, I feel like I need something to just cut directly into it. So without being just, cliche wine and cheese, I think some like good high acid cheese, even like a goat cheese would be really great with this. I also think like a good like fresh kind of like a salad would be great with it. That's got some like green apple and like a nice vinaigrette. Funny story about Gewurz is I actually was just at an Indian restaurant,
Mm,
and I had Gewurz just because I want something with just a little bit more residual sugar to cut into that heat.
yeah.
Uh, so I thought it was a pretty good pairing. I wish
I
there was a
think
little.
with I had some really ironically I had some really spicy Indian food for lunch today, some tikka masala,
Oh, nice.
lamb tikka masala, and this would be fantastic with that because it was just spicy and rich, and it has that spicy kind of yogurt sauce with it. And this wine actually, because it's got so much oomph, that it would really stand up nicely to that, and that touch of
Yeah,
residual sugar would actually cut into that spice, and then even the alcohol in those kind of cool ginger and saffron, kind of botrytis notes, I think would be really cool with
they
that.
play
So
well.
I think that's
Sure.
a great call.
Definitely.
Well, awesome work. Uh,
Thank
let's
you.
touch back here in a second, and we'll put me on the hot plate here.
Let's do it.